Okay, hi guys, and welcome to today's show. And of course, we are joined by the New York Police Department and the fire ambulances. Always happens. As soon as I hit record, this happens. So we'll just wait for this. Andiamo. Yeah. It only happens when I'm filming. Only happens. But, this is Queens. What are we going to do? It's New York. Anyway, guys, hello and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be doing another affordable alternatives. I had planned just to do a normal video like I always do, but today we have some extra fantastic news. We just hit 50,000 subscribers, way ahead of schedule. I had not foreseen this for another week at least. I was planning to do the SKX giveaway competition, announce the results and a few runners up, which I will do next week. So guys, stay tuned for that. But we actually hit 50,000 subscribers today at around about, I think it was about it was about 2 o'clock, that kind of time, way ahead of schedule. But I'm elated and very, very happy. Thank you so much to everybody out there. You have no idea how honored I am for your subscription and your loyal support. I've met so many fantastic people. I don't want to turn this into a long, half an hour thanking everybody, because to be honest, we got to get on with business. We got to deliver the goods, content as always. But next week I will be doing the SKX giveaway competition results. Also, today is the 11th year anniversary of when I got married. So in a little while I'm going to rush off, take the wifey out to a restaurant of her choosing, have some champagne, maybe, I think oysters first, definitely some oysters, and celebrate. So, what a poetic day that this happens on. Absolutely over the moon. The horology gods are definitely smiling upon us. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Quick wristwatch check before we roll the intro. And of course, I haven't worn this piece in a while. I wear this only at home because it is a collector's piece now. The price has shot through the roof, already increased by over 20-30% since Christmas when I bought it. This of course is the Seiko Giugiaro, the Ripley, limited edition to about 3,000 odd pieces, something like that. I was going to sell it, then I changed my mind because it's lunacy. It's just, when am I going to get my hands on one of these? And yeah, they're not making them anymore, so I'm really I'm enjoying it. It's something I enjoy at home. I'm not going to take it out and bash it about. A really cool and iconic, very 80s, not everybody's taste, but something fun to enjoy, especially with vibrant 80s colors. You got to enjoy these things. So that's my little Giugiaro of the 80s, from the famous Aliens film. So very cool indeed. Anyway, so wristwatch check done. Let's roll the intro and get into today's video. Okay, so the rules of this video are very simple. Those of you unfamiliar with the concept of these videos, the watches that we nominate or I recommend as affordable alternatives, obviously they got to be more affordable, and secondly, they have to be non-homages. They got to have their own identity, their own unique. They can't be a homage watch. So let's start. The first is an unusual watch. Now, a lot of you guys ask me what my opinion is on these watches, and these are movement watches, primarily the Movement 40 series. They came about, I think, in the mid-noughties. I might be wrong about that. They were hugely successful. Fashion watches, quartz-based, cheaply made, very affordable, very minimal in design. It's not Bauhaus because technically it's more modernist than that. It's more contemporary. You've got to remember, Bauhaus is way back at the first part of the century. So even though Bauhaus still has that kind of minimalist, modernist aesthetic. The stylizing of movement watches is a hell of a lot more contemporary. Now, my opinion on movement watches is, or it's actually written MVMT, but I presume it's short for movement. I might be wrong, but I've only handled a few in my time, and to me they're just mass-produced, cheap Chinese quartz watches. They're fashion watches, okay? Their major selling point is their minimalist aesthetic, which is tastefully done, but more often than not, it's desperately oversized, and I think it loses some of that classic classy appeal. It's a dress watch, okay? But with a dress watch, to me, I'm very old school. I believe it should be a little bit smaller. It does what a dress watch should do, which is be slim and slide under the cuff, but there is a cheapness to it. When you make things too big, it looks cheap, and I think a little bit cheesy, and it dates very quickly, especially now as we're exiting the giant watch phase and we're going back to more tasteful mid-century sizes. It's gonna age. So what are my alternatives? Well, of course, for the same money, you can get an Orient Bambino, which, as you guys know, is a mechanical automatic piece. It's totally in-house by Orient. Now, there are 3 generations of this watch, but I think what matches that minimalist aesthetic is especially the 3rd generation. If you want to go more classic, look at the 1st generation with the Roman numerals, that kind of thing, and they kind of evolve through the generations. But you're getting something for around about the same kind of price that is a real piece of horology. It's mechanical, it's automatic, it's in-house, it's tastefully done. Sure, it's not going to have manual wind and all the things, but you can't expect at this price heaven and earth. Something's got to give. You've got that beautiful domed crystal there. It's got tremendous character and taste, and they're about 40 millimeters as well. I still think they're a little bit oversized, not oversized like some of the movement or MVMT or however you want to call them, but they are real timepieces. They're elegant, they're tasteful, they're classic, and I think their minimalism is a lot better done than what MVMT, movement or whatever they're called, right? A little bit more towards the mid-century kind of Bauhaus aesthetic, and actually that brings me on to my second nomination. That's got to be the Junghans Max Bill collection. Now, this is more expensive. We're talking way more, but, and I know it kind of voids the rules of this video, but guys, honestly, if you can stretch to a manual wind, the 34 millimeter, we're talking, $300-400. If you can stretch that much, you get something that you can hand down the next generation. Entire Max Bill line was done in collaboration with the Bauhaus artist Max Bill himself. That's why his name is on the, part of the product line. It's a true collaboration. It's true Bauhaus. I mean, what other watches offer that? It's just something incredibly unique, and that's why I am putting it, although it does void the affordable rule, I gotta mention it because they're so tastefully done. You're getting that legendary German high quality product, so tastefully done, so classic. I'm dying to buy one myself, even though I totally don't need one. But if I was gonna go for a dress watch, I would start there. They're not that expensive for what you get, and if you're really lucky, you can find one in the used market for a couple of $100. So for the price of a few movement watches, you can get a Max Bill from Junghans. Now, my third alternative is not any particular watch, but have a look at Swatch watches because they do some really beautiful minimalist pieces. Very affordable, half the price sometimes on eBay. You can get these around $50, just the very basic models. There's so many, just have a look on Amazon. Their most classic, basic quartz watches, for around $50, there's a whole wide selection, half the price of an MVMT, a movement watch, and tastefully done. It's actually Swiss made. Sure, it's not haute horology, but it's a solid Swiss made quartz. They're very collectible, they're fun, vibrant. You can buy a whole bunch of colors to match your different outfits. I've talked at great length, one of my heroes, Richard Rogers, is a huge Swatch fan. So is my mum. So is a lot of people in my family, actually. It seems to be something that quite arty, cool, stylish people tend to gravitate towards. And I think it's the affordability. It's there. You get a lot of fun, a lot of pizzazz for really not that much. It's so instead of getting a fashion watch, get something with a little bit of just a touch of Swiss pedigree in there. I love Swatch. I'm a huge Swatch fan, so I'm definitely going to get in a few myself. So those are my alternatives to the MVMT or movement watches. Okay, moving on to the Cartier Tank. Now this is a watch I've actually just recently bought. The box is sitting over there. I could see it. I've bought it for my wife, but please don't tell her. It's her birthday very, very soon, so it's a bit of a surprise. So what are the key features of the Cartier Tank? Well, obviously it's square. It's hugely elegant. They're quite thin, slender, a dress watch. You can get it on bracelets, but in my opinion, they look so classy on a leather band. They've been made hugely iconic in the mainstream for almost nearly a century by being adorned on some of the most iconic and influential, stylish people of all time. This watch started ages ago, way back in 1917. The prototype was given by Cartier to the American General John Pershing, and the design was inspired by the tanks of World War I. It was officially introduced for sale in 1919. It's been one of the most influential, iconic watches of all time. It's absolutely stunning. It's the watch of the aristocrat. It's the watch of Jackie Onassis, of the Marilyn Monroes, and the it's a watch that exudes class, sophistication, taste, pedigree. Nobody does it like Cartier, in my opinion. But the great thing is, you get the men's and women's sizes. So what are my alternatives to the hugely iconic Cartier Tank? Well, my first choice is got to be the Oris Rectangular Collection. Now you can get these in a variety of complications. There's a moon phase, there's a beautiful date one. They're very tastefully done, a little bit more Art Deco than the classic tank in design, but it's got its own unique identity. They look great on leather. I love Oris. Fully independent brand for over 100 years. They've done huge things recently with so many developments in the first altimeter analog watch. God, what else they done? They recently launched an 8-day power reserve in-house. I think it was absolutely stunning. They really go in places, and what I love about Oris is they are a brand that do their own thing. They have very tastefully done watches, and I adore them. And the great thing is, you're not paying that much. You can get Oris Rectangular for around about $1,000. If we're talking the tanks, a few grand. If you go the precious metals, obviously we're talking 4 or 5 grand beyond, right? I love the very subtle stylings, these little curves, very kind of Art Deco-y curves, and of course you get that reliability, affordable modified ETAs, and I think Solitas as well. So very easy to maintain and reliable as well. Okay, my second choice, if you want to go vintage, have a look at some of the square Omega DeVilles from about the 1970s. These are quartz pieces, obviously, but because they're quartz, they're very thin. Some of them I think are gold capped. You might be able to find a solid gold one. Have a look on the used market. Very tastefully done, very simple. You got that Omega heritage and branding. Obviously the Cartier Tank is a dress watch, and the Omega DeVille suits that role perfectly because it's so thin. That quartz makes them hugely elegant on a leather band, croc leather band, stunning. Now, my top recommendation, and this is my personal favorite, a hugely overlooked brand, but really just such outstanding quality, is Eterna. The 1935, absolutely gorgeous. We've got a modified ETA, usually the 2824 in there. These are around about 1,000, go from about 1,000 to about 2 grand. Absolutely gorgeous, extremely tastefully done, very elegant. The attention to detail is astonishing with these lovely dials and applied markers, Art Deco styling. You could almost say they're a bit more sophisticated than the simplicity of the Tank. I love Eterna. I'm definitely considering one of their dive watches. I've always loved their dive watches. But this is the Eterna 1935 is a hugely overlooked timepiece. Nobody talks about them. They're gorgeous. You can get them on Amazon for just over £1,000. The luxury quality is there, Swiss made, very tastefully done, gorgeous. If you want to go square rectangle, that's my first stop personally. Obviously I've gone for the Tank for different reasons. Also an alternative to the Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso. It's very much more, it's more Reverso, to be honest. It's like a Reverso, a little bit of the Cartier. If you want to go affordable, really affordable, if you don't want to spend that much money, have a look at Seiko and Citizens. There's quite a few eco drives. There's so many different variations and models out there. I wouldn't know where to begin, but Seiko and Citizen offer some very good, solid, tastefully done, simple dress square or rectangular dress watches. And a lot of them, especially the Citizens, have eco drive, which is great. You don't have to worry about winding them and powering them and all the rest of it. So have a look at those as well. Okay, moving on to my last affordable alternatives. And this, of course, is the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona. A lot of you nominated this. I gotta be honest, the Daytona, you guys have asked me as well, why don't I buy a Daytona? Well, it's never ever done anything for me. The irony is, the only Daytona I really, really loved was, of course, the Paul Newman. And good luck trying to find one of those, because honestly, they cost as much as a house. They are just so in demand. I really like the early panda dialed versions. New ones, they just don't do anything for me, I gotta be honest. But you guys nominated this, so I'm gonna come up with some alternatives. So what is the iconic features of the Rolex Daytona? Obviously, it's a chronograph, it's a racing watch. It is the quintessential racing watch with that tetrametric scale, the pushers, that sub-dial layout. It's so recognizable. First introduced in 1963, made iconic, like I said, by Paul Newman. And as the name suggests, Daytona, I mean, how much more of a racing watch can you, I mean, you might as well call it the Formula One, you know? So really is the ultimate quintessential racing watch. So, what is my first alternative? And yes, it is rather obvious, but we've got to mention it. It's Tudor. It's the Tudor Prince Oyster Date chronographs. They are just, especially the Tiger as well. But, you know, I'm going to keep mentioning Tudor because although you guys know I love Tudor and watch guys know all about Tudor, but in the mainstream, Tudor still haven't really got out there. They've still under the shadow of their former selves. They are certainly going places, but they're still very much not in the mainstream zeitgeist. You ask the average person what a Tudor watch is, they probably wouldn't know. Us watch guys obviously obsess about them, we know all about them, and their resurgence in recent years, hugely fantastic brand. So my reference of choice is the 79260 with the panda dial. Absolutely gorgeous. This is a 40mm. Obviously we've got an ETA in there, so much more affordable. We're talking about $2,000 to $3,000 on the used market. I actually would consider one of these because it's panda and it's a panda dial, although you can get it in a variety of different colors and coordinations. Also have a look at the reference 79280, which of course is the Tiger. There's some really cool versions with like red hands and all the rest of it that give it a little bit more pizzazz, and of course in my size, so maybe I might have to investigate. Oh god, I can feel hours and nights on eBay stalking them are ahead of me. But anyway, so yeah, 2 to 3K, obviously a lot more affordable. Daytonas can be massively expensive, especially, you know, you get solid platinum ones and gold ones and all the rest of it. Actually, the gold I don't mind. I did see a friend of mine had a solid yellow gold one with a black dial on a lovely leather band, and it did kind of, yeah, it looked cool, but I don't know, the Daytona never did it for me. Anyway, Another Tudor, while we're on Tudor, have a look at the Tudor Monte Carlo. Yes, it's getting a little stylistically with the bright colours and the oranges and the blues and all the rest of it. Yeah, we are kind of moving away from that traditional Daytona racing aesthetic, but it is a worthy alternative, and I should just mention it because it is very vibrant and bright and quite exuberant in its styling, and it is an absolutely at Monte Carlo. I mean, it is a very cool racing watch. So worthy of a mention. Again, ETA, all the rest of it, a lot more affordable. Obviously, I prefer the Tudor Prince chronographs date as well. I must mention they have a date, which is fairly useful, especially if you like a date like me. Now, the second choice, again, this is hugely obvious, but if I didn't mention it, probably would be a mistake, and that would be the Omega Speedmaster, in particular the first Omega in space, not my one, but the newer one that came out last year with the Panda dial, 39 mils. I almost want to sell mine for it, which is a bit ridiculous. That Panda dial is just so stunning. But obviously there's the Speedmaster Racing line. Not my personal favorites. I don't like those larger dials, but some of you love them. They're automatic with the coaxial movements. Obviously a lot more affordable than Daytonas, but there's a lot of variety there. They're more, as the name suggests, more of a racing watch than their space-going cousins. What I like about those is you do get a little splash of color. Some of them have some very cool straps as well that kind of mimic a tire of a car and have stitching, very racing inspired stitching. So we had to mention them. And if we want to go really affordable, my top pick actually is the Seiko SNDF93P1. This is a very affordable Seiko quartz, 42 millimeters. Chronograph, has a beautiful yellow hand that kind of jumps out at you. Panda dial configuration, although you can get a white and blue version, but the Panda is my pick of the bunch. We're talking about around about $200. Very, very racing inspired. These are hugely robust pieces from Seiko. Being quartz as well definitely assists that. I've seen some of these pop up in the Facebook group recently. Very fun. Now guys, I've been through a lot of suggestions. I tried to give 2 or 3 for each watch, but I'd really appreciate your own suggestions, so please nominate and share them down below, because anybody that's watching this, guys, read the comments, because my audience are the wisest bunch of watch collectors and enthusiasts on YouTube without a doubt. The collective wealth of experience and knowledge between us is almost unlimited. So guys, don't forget to nominate your suggestions, your affordable alternatives. Share them down below in the comments. I really appreciate your feedback, because we've got to help the people out there. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars, thousands and tens of thousands on these watches when there's so many great watches out there, and that's why I love doing these videos. I hope that gave, there should be something for everyone in there. So hopefully I gave enough suggestions. But yeah, guys, don't forget to check out the comments. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. It really does help me. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.